through yoga, we gain sovereignty of our inner domain. I love that. You know, and you said self-mastery is the final frontier. I love that too.
It has been for me, let me tell you. Ask my husband.
And what are the steps to self-mastery?
Well, I have found, and I wanted to add that I've since learned that a more apt term that now is to say virtuosity in self, which I love also, and that yoga is the path to being virtuous in being yourself. For me, the steps to, let's say, enhance virtuosity have been, first of all, a welcoming, which we talked about. And if you frame it in terms of teaching, meeting people where they are, of course, it's very difficult to meet yourself where you are, at least that's my experience. And I think the breath, again, is an ally in that, because the breath is the great ally of us as yogins, calming the nervous system as it does and giving the mind something to focus on, and the immediate feeling of safety in your body when you can take a deep breath. So I would say there's been that for me, using all of the philosophical resources, because I'm a geek, I love all that stuff. So kind of getting a lot of that, studying with people, Ayurveda, learning about Ayurveda, Yoga Nidra. Richard Miller is also one of my teachers. I've studied with him. I've taken a training with him in Yoga Nidra. I rest Yoga Nidra, and found that to be incredibly helpful as a tool of integration.
How do you use that in your yoga practice or your teaching?
I do a lot of led Yoga Nidras myself as part of my ongoing practice and sadhana. In my teaching, I use it not so much, sometimes a longer guided Shavasana, a body sensing Shavasana, but often just coaching people at the beginning of class or even at the end to meet yourself where you are, to observe what's happening, to welcome sensation. So again, seeding in subtly as best I can what I've learned from it, without saying, okay, we're officially doing a Yoga Nidra practice. Although I did have the experience of teaching vets with PTSD, Navy SEALs, teaching them Yoga Nidra, which was an incredible, humbling experience. Yeah. So, yeah, and I think being in those, I'm sure you've been in many different environments as a teacher as well, somebody of your caliber and how long you've been teaching. I think it causes you to be a more authentic teacher, because populations like that, I don't know if you've ever gone into a prison either, you can't BS them, sorry. If you are not coming from a place of authenticity, they can smell it. Yeah. So you have to drop into what you've learned and what you know, and I think it's good for us to put ourselves in places like that, because the rubber meets the road, so to speak, and you really have to rely on what you've integrated in your own being as opposed to a book or... so that's been helpful for me actually also, to put myself in positions where it really felt I was in a crucible. So
that takes, as you said, humility and courage. And being willing to be vulnerable, and to, I think the main time, actually now I'm thinking about it, yes, there have been several times, but the main time that happened to me that I remember was in India, and in the late 90s. And I had been working with HIV quite extensively, and my teacher, Guruji B.K.S. Iyengar, asked me to go to a clinic in Pune and work with a group of HIV positive. So here I was, a Westerner in India, you know, going to, and there were probably 30 people there who did not have access to medication, you know, and I knew that some of them were on their way out, you know, and here I am, a Westerner. What do I have to offer these people at the seat of yoga, in the arms of yoga? Right. And just for us to be quiet and to own together and to feel the gentleness of the breath and, you know, the collective process that we had. You know, it really was kind of a line down, the word crucible that you used, you know, to have the willingness, you know, to be with them in those conditions.
Beautiful.